This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Agronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 96. Tonight, I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Good evening.
Kodra.
Hi.
And Tam.
Hello.
So, I this is the first show in a bit that we've had Grace, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, we have missed you. I'm sure our listeners have missed you. Did you have safe trips?
I had safe trips. I had good and productive work and fun times, and now I'm back and I really miss video games.
Sweet.
Funny how that works. Like, that's the thing that cracks me up about PAX is, like, during PAX, I play far less video games than I do at any other time of the year. So, like, all I wanted to do was get home and play video games. Tam, you played in a tournament today for Infinity.
I did.
How did that go?
It was pretty great. So every year, Infinity updates its tournament rules with new scenarios and new rules and so on and so forth. And one of the big things that changed this year was they changed their whole scoring system. So instead of determining the winner of the tournament by the number of objective points you got, because each round you get a certain number of points, and you determine the winner based on who got more points in a given round. And the tournament winner last year and previous years used to just be whoever had the most points at the end. And they changed it. This year it actually matters who won. And moreover, it matters how much you won by. So they have a system where you can get 0 to 3 points for every round. If you lose, you get 0. If you tie, you get 1. If you beat your opponent by 4 points or less out of 10, you get 2. If you beat your opponent by 5 points or more out of 10, you get 3. And so there's this interesting thing going on now where in previous seasons there were some problems where opponents who kind of knew how the scoring worked could kind of game it. Both some missions are worth more total points than others, so you could kind of maximize the score for both people. So even though you have somebody who wins and somebody who doesn't, they can both bring back a lot of points. And that can often be more points than somebody who won on a different table. Now, that doesn't happen anymore. And it's in your best interest not only to win, but also make sure your opponent doesn't get too many points.
How did this shake out, like, actually in matches today?
So I actually scored on the whole lower than I have in previous tournaments, because it's a lot harder to get maximum points. But I did beat all of my opponents by 5 points at least. So I got 3 points across the board for all of the rounds, and took home the tournament prize. Nice, which is cool. Yeah, it was really fun for me. I mean, I don't, not to brag, I've won a bunch of tournaments. For me, it's like, it's way more exciting to have the people who I play with afterward come up and be like, that was an awesome game. I'm really glad I got to play you. Like that to me is sort of the more awesome thing. I got to play with like 3 completely new people today who I'd never played against, and they were all really excited afterward. So that's the part that made me happy.
That's really cool. Like, and it sounds like you've got a good community there.
It's a really great community. It's a good group of people. I got used to the new missions. It was really relaxing. It was really fun, and I got to bring out my favorite list where I play as GLaDOS, because I haven't gotten to play them in a really long time, because I've been in the middle of like repainting them and rebasing them, and now my whole AI and creepy inhuman robots faction is back to full fighting force. So that was a lot of fun.
Now, as far as tournaments go, do they pair up like, so this is very similar to how Magic does it. Magic doesn't do it like it's just wins. It's if you tie, you get 1 point. If you win, you get 3 points. But every single round, you're going to be paired up against somebody who has the same number of points as you.
Yes, and that's more or less how they do it here.
Okay.
It's matched very well that way.
Yeah, that's something that I'm not sure if I remember right, but I don't think was necessarily true in the past with Infinity.
It's true. Now they're a lot more particular about it. Each rule set they've refined in some really nice ways. And in this one, I think their scoring system, which I've had issues with in the past. I had probably the least satisfying tournament win ever, where I went into a game knowing how many points I had and how many points my opponent had, and I knew that I only needed 4 points to win the tournament, and I got my 4 points, and then my opponent tabled me, but I won the tournament, even though I just got wrecked in the final round because he just couldn't score enough points to pull out ahead, and it didn't feel good. So I like their new scoring system.
Yeah, this would keep it tense.
Yeah, it keeps it very tense.
Cool.
And it was cool. It was also cool because in the last round, the guy who I played against came in second.
Yeah, which is normally how those types of tournaments are supposed to go. The final match is supposed to be between first and second.
Yeah, and that definitely was how it shook out, which I think is cool. It works out nicely. It's also just a really it's this casual atmosphere. And it would be so easy for it not to be, because you're playing a tournament all day. It started first round started at noon, and then the last round ended at I think I left the store at 6. So that's a 6-hour block. But
that's really fast for a miniature tournament, though. I could remember Warhammer tournaments taking significantly longer to weed people out.
Oh, it takes a long time. Yeah, this was 3 rounds, 90-minute rounds, and we had an hour for lunch.
How many people were at the tournament then?
I want to say 8 or 10.
Okay.
It wasn't enough to have to go to 4 rounds. I think
I was
you
about
need
to say
16
then probably 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because 8 is the right number for a 3-round Swiss being perfect.
Yeah, and it was great. It worked out just dead on. They have the guy who runs all of the tournaments had this. He and his wife had this brilliant idea last year. One of the terrain companies did this April Fool's joke thing where, as part of the game, you can have camouflage units, like stealth guys. And the stealth guys are represented by these little markers that are just called camo markers. So you don't know what it is, but there's a guy there. And they can move around and do stuff. But people get creative with how they display their camo markers. And this terrain company for April Fool's one year, they do medium density cardboard terrain. And so they made little MDF boxes, Solid Snake hiding in a boxes.
Oh, nice.
And made them into little camo tokens. So you could have a box moving around the table as your stealth guy. And he bought a whole bunch of them. Whoever comes in last place in the tournament, if they lose all their games, they get one of those as the consolation prize. And they're actually really cool.
That would be a worthy gift. Thing.
It's a really exciting. I mean, even if you go to the tournament and just get rolled all day long, you come out with this cool thing. And I don't have one of those. I kind of want one. And they were this limited run thing. So he bought 30 of them, and gives out one per tournament. So he'll keep having them for a bunch of time, but you can't buy them on the store. So it's this cool little unique prize for coming and playing. It's really neat.
That's awesome. Okay. Kodra, I don't even know how to set up this next discussion. You mentioned you wanted to have a discussion about crafting.
Yeah, so this is tied into a lot of discussions, actually. The other discussion I wanted to have is about how I am being motivated by a Skinner box in a game in a way that I recognize it's motivating me this way, and it's more.
But you don't instantly resent
I'm more aware of it than most games I play, and I still love it. I am playing Warframe, and since about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I was motivated by one thing. I want to get a Sancti Tigress. And
okay, and you gotta explain what this thing
totally
is.
ridiculous shotgun.
Okay.
it's an amazing shotgun.
That you have to basically rep grind to get.
The rep
Among
grind
other
is way
things.
easier than the other grind.
Okay, fair.
So I have there's a reputation. So a faction will give you a whole bunch of missions that you can do to get rep with them, and they refresh daily. So I was doing all of those. I was getting my rep up. Every various level, you have to like pay them a tribute to get to the next rank, and you get a lot of sweet prizes for this. But what I was doing was like one of the top tier reward is this awesome shotgun. Like the Tigress is my favorite shotgun, and this is a just better in every way version of it. So
Now, do they actually hand it to you, or do you have to craft it then?
You have to purchase it with reputation.
Actually handed to you.
Okay.
technically.
Yes, and so you have to purchase it with like you have to max out your reputation all the way to get it. But more importantly, in order to purchase it, you need to be rank 12. At the time I became aware of this, I was rank 6, I think. I have now gotten to rank 9. How do you rank up? You take a weapon, frame, or sidekick that you have never leveled before and level it up. So all I have been doing is trying to get new stuff into my inventory and then maxing out its levels. And that means oftentimes I'm like, I need to get another primary weapon. I guess I'll look at these options for primary weapons. Oh, I need to go out and craft this primary weapon. Where do I get these circuits that I need to build this heck? Oh, I see that I can get those on Venus. Well, I've got this other frame that I need to level up. And Venus is a low-level planet. I guess I'll go grind Venus for a while. And it's masterful at getting me to go back to all of these old missions and just keep repeating them. Because I need to get these mats, and I can't buy them. Well, I can buy them for money at an exchange rate of do not do this.
Yeah, the exchange rate is, it's so bad that it's like, look, really just play the game. If you're like a little bit short and you just don't have the patience anymore, yeah, okay. You can you can spend a little real money and like not have to worry about RNG drops.
The exchange rate of real money to mats is awful.
But it's bad.
So the game is encouraging you to go, like, the game is constantly encouraging you to pick up new frames, level them up, go to old planets, get your materials, craft new weapons, level them up. Like, just over and over, just drip, 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 just keep playing. And it's got me hooked. Like, I'm really excited. And then I feel value from everything I do in this game. And like, certain things are more valuable than others, but there's always something going on for me to be doing to push myself forward. It's really interesting to me, like, just how, like, this game is very grindy, but it's grindy in interesting ways, in the sense that, like, you are grinding up a completely new champion. And it doesn't take a long, or Warframe. And it doesn't take a ton of time to do that. Like, it's not the investment of grinding up a new class in Final Fantasy. It's maybe a 5-hour investment, and probably less if you have a group. Way less if you have a group.
Well, and I think one of the things that I at least recognized is the crafting system. You know, it's a grind to progress your way through the content, but so there's a lot of things that aren't clear in this game, but the crafting is very crystal clear. Like, it's, you do this and get this and then get this, and now you can craft it. So it's like it feels like it's always straightforward from the crafting standpoint.
I would agree with you, with the exception of Warframes.
Well, the challenge with Warframes is like finding the bits, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Like,
yeah,
I think we were talking, Tam and I, last night. This game needs to do a better job at letting you know where you get Warframe parts as part of the game.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not.
It doesn't have to be
prime
specific,
parts,
but
because you can just say, "Oh, those are in the void." But there's a bunch of clever ways you could message, like, oh, hey, you want to get mag? Maybe you should go to Mars.
Right. That's the thing that I noticed, that the game desperately needs a adventure guide, lore book, whatever, that like lets you look at what's available in the game and gives you hints as to where you might be able to find these things.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, or that should be like flavor text on the blueprint, maybe.
Yeah, like, you know, the blueprint says that, you know, these pieces were last seen in such and such sector, or just to give you a hint to have a clue where to start looking.
Yeah.
Well, and the worst problem though is like the prime parts, because they're scattered throughout all over the place.
Yeah, but those are sort. I think that's sort of intentional. Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to sort of luck into a set, or like honestly data mining, go hunting for them.
Yeah.
That's more of an advanced player activity than anything. Like for
Even
a
then,
new
they seem
player,
to know that it's
sorry,
maybe
go
a
ahead.
little silly, and developers themselves keep a list of where they are on the forum.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with the prime parts, and this is just me being a novice player, is the normal parts seem to be pretty straightforward. So you kill a boss, it drops all 3 parts. Once you found the boss that drops the parts, you're mostly good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Much.
But the primes are scattered throughout all over the place. Like they're not on bosses. They're, you know, in tower missions. But it, like the same pattern may be scattered throughout a tower 1 something, and a tower 2 something, and a tower 3 something.
Yeah, the
Then on top of that,
towers
you can find the
getting-
same item in multiple places.
Yeah.
And again, I think that primes and towers are, again, not designed for novice beginner players, because they're so scattered. Like, but I'm getting to the point where I have so many almost completely finished prime sets that I'm gonna get to the point where I am just gonna start randomly being able to assemble them. Because I've done a lot of the Void. And the Void is good. And that's the other thing that's nice. Even if you get duplicates, those are very valuable. Because either you can trade them in for platinum to other players, or you can trade them in for ducats, which is strange coins in Destiny lingo.
Ah! I saw you guys mention something about finding the Zur for this game.
Yep.
Oh, he absolutely exists. He shows up every 2 weeks, instead of every one, though.
Okay.
Yep, he's here right now he sold me a sweet mod, and I'm thinking about trying to work for a toxic shotgun.
I like the entrance of characters like Zur. I think it's cool because it gives people something to look forward to. But by the same token, it feels like over in Destiny, there are too many things going on. Like, there's Zur, there's Arms Day, where you can put in your weapon orders. Then there's alternating Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris, and then there's the specialty events that are going on, and it just feels like there's too many regular reoccurring events going on.
So Zur is interesting here because one of his prime functions is periodically bringing out items that were one-time only obtainables.
Ah, so he is the black market auction house.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Although they found other places to introduce these too.
So you're potentially going to be able to get the vaulted stuff this way?
Not the vaulted stuff, unfortunately.
But, like, there was an event that allowed you to get mods that would increase your impact damage by a significant amount. And it was a one-time only event. But all of the impact mods are available from him right now.
Oh, nice.
And since I'm using a sniper rifle that is almost all impact damage, I picked that up. But yeah, the other thing is, like, it's interesting because there is a player market for some things, but most things there isn't, so I actually have to go out and do the grinds, and it's like, oh, I guess I better go out and kill a bunch of stuff on Mars.
It's this really interesting thing where when you start the game, you're like, oh, this game is totally pay to win. And then you realize it's not even a little bit. You can pay to unlock a bunch of stuff, and you can pay to give yourself options, but you're a far cry from paying to win.
Yeah, because they still require copious amounts of time.
I will say you cannot put money into the game and get wins out.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be said that you can possibly put money into the player-based economy and get some wins out. But we're talking about some ridiculous amounts of money there.
Or the ability to make the right deals.
You can just be Tam.
Oh,
It could be Tam.
I make a lot of deals.
I'm just going to say, the mod that is the most sought after, I have seen sold for 25,000 platinum, which is something on the order of like $1,500.
That's just insane.
It's madness.
There's only 101 people have it?
More than that, 'cause they gave it out for something else later.
Oh, okay.
But it's not many more than that.
But it's a very sticky game, and it's giving me a massive time sink, and I'm having a lot of fun. But it's just really interesting. Like, I have to play. I care so much about crafting because I actually have to go out and farm these stupid mats.
Well, I think like it. I mean, I don't know. The game wasn't very sticky for me, but I value any game that has a crafting system that is actually worthwhile. That, you know, like you can craft things and keep crafting things throughout the game, and they are useful or cool. And, you know, I mean, there's so many, you know, especially with MMOs, where you have this really cool crafting system, and by the time you get to whatever the plateau of the end game is, it's kind of useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree, and it's one of the things that I really like about this is that no, I'm always crafting, and crafting is always relevant. Like we had the
It's
discussion.
the primary means to acquire anything.
Yeah, we had the discussion the other day about unlocking a whole new system 100 hours into the game, and in order to really put that system through its paces, I need to craft. I need to go farm rare materials and craft things to use them. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Well, and I think Warframe may make crafting more relevant than any game I've played. I mean, like, there's a lot of games out there that have crafting systems that I love, like Elder Scrolls Online. I really like its crafting system. But there comes a point where you're just not crafting much. Like, you're crafting the occasional upgrade set, but you're not really crafting every day. And it feels like in Warframe, you're literally crafting something all the time. There's something cooking all the time.
Yeah, the Warframe crafting system learned a lot from the way EVE Online levels up. And so all of the crafting happens in real time. So, you know, you start something baking and come back in a day or 3 when it's done. And like stuff like keys, they bake pretty quick most of the time. But
Most of them within a minute.
yeah, sometimes within a minute. But like, you know, I just finished I was, you know, working on crafting a Warframe. It's like, okay, it takes me 12 hours to make all of the individual parts. And I can make them all at once. You know, I can parallel produce. So, okay, it takes me 12 hours to get all the parts, then it takes me 3 days on top of that to build the frame itself. So it's like 3.5 days later, now I have a new Warframe that I've crafted. And, you know, I can speed that up by spending real money, but, you know, if I don't need it right now, I can kind of have a steady trickle of things coming in to play with. But it's also disassociated from a skill. Like, there's no crafting skill for me to level up. It's about me finding blueprints and finding materials.
Well, and I think what's important about that is in this scenario, you're not doing the crafting.
Also that.
You're commanding your very intelligent ship to craft it for you.
Yeah, your ship is doing the work.
Well, and so this week there was an event where a big battleship was attacking one of our systems. One of the like space stations around a system was being attacked, and to get past its shields, you needed a specific disruptor, which you could craft by gathering a specific type of mat off of enemies on Mercury. So we spent a lot of time on Mercury just killing a whole bunch of dudes together, trying to get all of these mats put together so we could go do this mission.
To give you an idea of how elegantly this dovetails, we want to fight the newest, you know, basically up-to-date raid, you know, a raid boss event, like a special event boss that wants our high-level stuff. In order to do that, we swap to some low-level stuff and do a bunch of levels on a low-level planet to collect the materials we need to craft the key to go fight the high-level thing. And so all of these pieces are working together where, okay, I do need to go and do low-level content, but I've got a low-level frame to do that in. So, like, no matter what I'm doing, it doesn't feel like I'm wasting my time. Even though I'm grinding in, like, 12 different ways at once, none of it feels wasted.
Well, and that was one of the lessons that WoW really needs to learn is there's so much of stuff that would, if it were just account bound, life would be fine. If my Valor points were account bound, if my faction were account bound, if my this or that were account bound, and I could be working towards these things regardless of who I happen to be on.
Because doing it on your raid geared character feels like an absolute waste.
Well, exactly. Like I am being useless. Like this isn't getting me anything other than really rapidly getting me whatever I was after. So, and I'm picking on WoW because like they're the one that needs it the most. But like all of these MMO type games need a shared purpose between all of your characters. And more than that, it's not just give you a rapid route to get to the end quickly. It's keep giving you reasons to mess with the synergy between your characters.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy XIV actually did, I think, a pretty good job with letting you have cross-class skills.
Yes.
Like, there were reasons for you to level everything else up. But I don't think it did it quite to the level of, like, Warframe, where you really need to be leveling everything else up.
It's totally worthwhile to level everything else up.
Well, crafting in Final Fantasy XIV is kind of that way.
Yeah, there's definitely that.
But there it feels like you've been handcuffed into the system and not, if you do this thing over here, it'll totally be cool, I promise. So, you guys have gotten to the point of doing sorties, right?
We did our first sortie last night.
Did one yesterday.
How did that go?
Oh boy.
We won.
We did win.
How painful was it?
It was down to the wire.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
actually that bad, but that last mission was a little rough.
So, the thing with sorties is they are ridiculously high level, and they're going to put additional restraints on you.
Yeah.
I think, what was the first one? Oh, we couldn't use elemental mods.
So the first one, the way they do it is they take a regular mission and amp it up super, super high. So, like, worth noting, the highest level enemies that you can run into in just a regular mission outside of, like, weird edge cases like defenses and things that scale is, like, 30 to 40.
About 40.
Yeah, it tops out at about 40, unless you have a scaling mission. Sorties start at 50 to 60. So the enemies that you're facing are already 20 levels higher than the average the highest that you can fight outside of them. And then they throw extra conditions on you. For example, sorties are basically, you have to do 3 missions that get increasingly difficult. The first set of enemies is 50 to 60. The second set of enemies is 70 to 80.
65 to 80.
65 to 80, and the third is 75 to 100?
80 to 100.
80 to 100? Yeah. So, like, by the end, those guys are beefy. And yeah, the first one we did, we had to do, that was the mobile defense, right?
No, that was mobile defense was second.
Oh, mobile defense was second.
Sabotage.
What was the first one? Oh yeah, the first one was sabotage. A sabotage mission requires you to find a thing or set of things in a level and blow them up. Pretty straightforward.
I'm good at those.
Yeah, like, it's pretty straightforward. This one, all of the enemies, in addition to the normal damage they do, also deal a whole bunch of magnetic damage. Magnetic damage rips through your shields, which is it's your only regenerative defense. So they
Also, it's a chance to completely deprive you of energy.
Yes. They can also proc and rip away all of your energy. So that's already touchy. And then they have incredible elemental resistances, like just to all elements. So you need to do physical damage to them. So you have to come up with a build, because a lot of the ways to get a lot of powerful damage out is to start putting elemental attacks on your weapons. And so you suddenly can't do that. You gotta get creative. Like, how are you gonna get damage through on these powerful enemies when they can do a ton of damage to you and, make it through the level and blow this thing up. And then the extra little twist on the mission is not only do you have to blow the things up, but when you've done that, you have to kill all of the enemies that spawned in the time it took you to do that. And
So no more barely running to the extraction point and getting out of there.
Nope. You have to, and the thing is that those things are on an infinite continuous spawn until you blow up all of the machines. So we were racing through that level. We actually split up, didn't we?
Well, not intentionally, but yes.
Oh yeah, we split up because two of us got wrecked.
Two of us got a little farther ahead than the others.
Yeah, and got shot to bits, as I recall.
It was a problem.
Yeah. We just raced through it, and then all banded together so that we could just huddle in a tight circle and move carefully from room to room, killing everything we found so that we didn't get overwhelmed.
I feel like the more interesting story was the second mission where we were doing that with mobile defense.
Yeah. Mobile defense. So second, what was the modifier on that
one? Radiation damage.
Oh, God. Yeah, so mobile defense is go to computer terminal and protect them while you hack them, like while your friendly companion hacks them. So you got to plug this virus in and wait for it to download, basically. So annoying enough because it means that you can't evade enemies. You got to actually stand and fight. But made particularly difficult because the enemies have, if they deal damage to you, you can get affected by radiation. If you are affected by, and not can be, I think you just are. Yeah. So if they deal damage to you, you are just affected by radiation. The status effect of radiation is friendly fire is turned on.
For enemies, this also confuses them and makes them target allies. Players, they don't really need to confuse you. They just turn on friendly fire.
Yep. And considering the kind of insane damage output you can do, that's really bad.
But we managed to come up with a plan.
We put together a dream team.
We sat inside of a frost bubble, which just basically meant enemies couldn't shoot into us and we could shoot out at them.
There's a particular frame that has they can create a bubble shield, and for as long as the bubble shield has health, it gets a bit of health, and as long as it has health, enemies shoot it instead of you, as long as you're inside of it.
They can also walk in and try to hit you and do things like that, but can't shoot you.
Yeah. We set up a team so that we had point defense. We could all huddle in this little bubble and make sure that we had enough energy to keep going, and then kill everything as fast as possible. Keep it controlled, keep it weakened, and just survive it so it doesn't shred through the bubble and murder us.
And there were some very hairy times when we were just... The problem with this bubble that we really didn't think about was if you're shooting enemies outside of the bubble and you're staying in, you will run out of ammo.
Yep.
So we didn't think about this because we so rarely run out of ammo. But on these sorties, you need to consider everything. So there were some harrowing moments where Dalen and I were just doing this mad dash outside of the bubble to try and get enough ammo to push through to the next wave. And
I mean, the kind of incoming damage meant that if they did this at the wrong time, they just went down instantly.
Oh yeah.
Enemies would shoot them and they would go get ruined.
And so that was nerve-wracking. And then the final sortie was a survival. 15 minutes.
Survive for 15 minutes against level 80 to 100 enemies.
While still killing enough of them to get life support.
Yeah, this is the trick. Warframe's survival missions are not just we send endless waves at you. Because, you could evade that and you could do all sorts of tricks. No, you have to stay alive because the premise is they shut off life support. And so every so often you get another life support pod that'll give you 30% life support back. If your life support ever reaches 0%, you start dying real fast. And will fail the mission if you haven't reached the allotted time before then. And enemies can, on occasion, drop life support pods. So, and really not the speed at which which the pods come out is not really fast enough to sustain you. You can't survive on just pods alone. So you have to kill and steal. You have to get drops to keep your life support up. And those guys are really tough.
The special condition we got was melee only.
Yeah, no guns.
Oh.
They all have guns, but you do not have guns.
So you basically had to wait for them to come into your bubble before you could do anything.
Yeah.
We didn't bring that frame for this one, but
Yeah, you can switch loadouts in between. But yeah, we
brought a lot of CC.
Yes, we basically were like, if these things hit us, we die. So let's not ever let them hit us. I probably wouldn't do this again, but my take was, if we have to use melee, let's make them use melee. So I used a stealth frame, which is really squishy, like really, really just dies straight up to almost anything, but can be invisible and can disarm enemies in a radius, like just in a fairly big range around me. I could just destroy all of my opponent's ranged weapons, forcing them to like pull out stun batons and come after us. It was a little redundant because both Thalen and Ash had an equally ridiculous amount of crowd control.
And it was a little unfortunate because we were kind of light on wave clear.
Yeah, we had a lot of trouble actually killing these guys. And we were down in like the single digits for distressingly long periods of time.
And we got the mission, we ran out of life support on our way to extraction, and I was keeping us alive with blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, after you can extract, if your life support runs out, you start losing health and shields at a very, very fast pace. So Kodra was playing a healer, and was just healing us through it.
it's enough for us to extraction and actually win.
Yeah, just enough before enemies poured in on us.
And get a single part for a weapon of questionable quality.
I will build it if I get it.
Yeah, I'll have earned that weapon. I'll even use it.
No promises. Although, more mastery, so I guess I probably will.
Yeah, exactly.
There we
More
go.
mastery.
But the rewards for it are seriously good. And it's got it's basically the equivalent of it's not really an equivalent of a raid, I don't think. But it's like
This game has those, we just haven't done them yet.
yeah, we haven't done them yet.
What it reminds me of is the Nightmare Strikes in Destiny.
Yeah, it's very similar. But what's really cool about it is you get a roll on this loot table. You can see everything on the loot table, and the loot table changes every few weeks, every major patch.
Not even. All 4 seasons so far have been since the last major patch.
Yeah, so
Every few weeks.
every few weeks. But what's cool about it is there's a bunch of stuff that you can just get that having more than one of is not bad. Like you can get a whole bunch of fusion cores, which help you level up your mods, and you can get a variety of other things. But all the stuff that you only really want one of, there's a little checkbox next to it. And so now this weapon part that we got has a little checkbox next to it, which means we won't get it in a future drop because we've already gotten it. And I think that's such a great system.
Yeah, and among the rewards, there are, like, the worst prize is probably an Exilus adapter, and that's still pretty sweet.
Yeah, like all of the rewards are really satisfying. They may not be what you need right now, but they're still really good. And the stuff that like would frustrate you if you got more than one of, you can't get more than one of.
The only slightly annoying part is that I think lenses are in the category of things you can only get one of, and, well, I definitely like more than one.
It's fair, you may want more than one of those. That having been said, though, I also like that there is also the off chance of a super ultra rare drop that's one of the most valuable things in the game. It doesn't have a very high drop chance, but it is on the loot table. You can get a legendary core, and a legendary core will take any mod you choose and level it up all the way.
Oh, nice.
And so, even if you've gotten everything else on the table, you can still fish for it. So even if you're able to farm sorties, there's still benefit for you.
Although that is absolutely what you're doing. You are fishing, because we're not going to get it.
That's fair. Belling.
No.
Yeah, I sometimes have luck. Okay. This next topic, I am really glad that Tam made it back from the tournament. because I feel like this is going to be in an I told you so type situation.
Uh-oh.
I finally have gained traction in Dragon Age Inquisition. Finally.
Nice.
I have reached the point where I actually care about the story and I care about the characters. And that point is, and I'm trying to be as unspoilery as possible, is Skyhold.
And how many hours into the game?
God, I don't even know at this point. A bunch.
In the hinterlands for like 100 hours or something.
But it's not just the hinterlands. Like, I wandered around all the other areas too. The only weird thing is I don't have Bull. I don't know why I don't have Bull, but I don't have Bull.
I think I
in that other area.
And I don't know if it's too late to get him, but yeah. So I feel like the game kind of pulls a Link to the Past on me, and not
this
this. What?
And you thought this was it? Here, have the rest.
Yeah. Well, like, I didn't really think this was the end, but I thought that the tone of events was set. Like, this is the game that this is going to be. I'm going to follow this path now.
I know where it was. Yes.
And then all of a sudden, nope, your princess is in another castle and it's not even a princess anymore. And nothing else is ever going to be the same because you just found out a bunch of shit.
I still think, and I'm gonna try to be as non-spoilery as possible, but there's a point in the first Dragon Age that never really sold well, where they try to play a song.
Yes.
And I feel like they've been trying to chase that ever since and make it work. And oh wow, does it
pays off really well.
Like not like a musical track that cuts in, but like actual people actually singing as part of the game, and it's awesome.
Yep.
And yes, that was the point at which I was like, I'm hooked. Like, yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
But prior to that moment, I thought this was a thoroughly lackluster Dragon Age game. Like, I actually liked Dragon Age 2 better than this one.
I can see that.
And then all of a sudden, and it's not just that moment, it's the revelation that happens right before that moment,
Yes.
and all the stuff you find out immediately following that moment.
Yes. It's this sudden cascade where you're like, oh, wow.
Well, and like, even if you were rushing on your first playthrough, it's still 20, 30 hours into the game. I think, at least.
It was far enough into the game that I would have believed that it was the end and that it was just a weirdly short game. And then I realized that no.
Yeah.
There's so much more here.
But the problem that I've had with this game is, now that I am knowing what the actual tempo is going to be and what the stakes are on the table, it just feels like they had this really awkward introduction chapter. Like, this is basically us exiting the tutorial.
Yeah.
And it was really long, and it was kind of awkward.
I don't disagree.
So, now I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I am going to be playing like a madman.
It was totally worth it. Like, it had an awkward intro, and it kind of went on too long, and it didn't quite hook me, and then it got to there, and I was like, yeah, okay, I forgive everything.
But I've been trying to play this game I've tried so many times, and like, I don't see it. Like, I don't see what people think of this game, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's there, and I wasn't expecting it. So yeah, it finally did catch up to me, and now I'm hooked. And I'm probably going to be trying to play through it as... I'm going to try and play through it, like, quickly now, because...
You want to know?
Yeah, like, I want to know where we're going.
Yeah.
And that was the way I felt through a lot of the original Dragon Age. That, I wanted to get going. Like, I mean, there's awesome stuff's happening.
One of these days, BioWare will figure out how to start a game.
Right?
Well, and honestly,
Not much hope at this point.
A lot of the problems that you had with Dragon Age are, like, even worse in Inquisition. Like, the world is not a good place, especially if you're a mage.
It's slightly less horrific, but like...
Yeah, but the problem is, not only do you have these circles, but you also have this group of neo-Nazi mages that just happen to be reasserting their power again.
Oh, yeah.
The Teventer Imperium.
It's like, okay, it's it's less singularly oppressive and more, wow, this is so much bad. Like, I guess you've got your freedom. Great.
Look at these horrible things you did now.
Yeah, like this isn't actually awesome. But there's so many. Yeah, but you can. I feel like I make a difference in that world.
Well, and I'm finally sold on the Inquisition. Like, that was a big problem for me. Like, I did not care about Andraste. I did not care about the Inquisition. I did not like that, this is the person that, kidnapped people and all that stuff. And, like, I've even watched the anime. So I understand Cassandra's backstory. But
I have to like her.
Yeah, I like her as well as, honestly, as any of the other characters, but like, I wasn't sold on, like, the Grey Wardens, that's a concept, were badass from the start. Like, this is an organization I wanted to be a member of.
Wow.
Inquisition, no. Like,
You're
what's
really
more
selling
metal
me
than
on this.
drinking demon blood? Come on!
I was like, I know who's gonna be like just not even a little bit into it.
I was so not into the Grey Wardens when I found out about them.
Oh man, the Grey Wardens are awesome.
I like the Inquisition significantly more than the Grey Wardens because I feel like they're at least playing the game. Whereas the Grey Wardens are like, no, we're taking all of our toys and going home.
The Grey Wardens are absolutely the Brotherhood of Steel of Dragon Age.
God.
Like, they really are.
They are. You're not wrong. It's true. They are.
Like and for the most part, I've liked Brotherhood of Steel in other games. There are just some Brotherhood of Steel setups that I am so full of nope.
They're like those dwarves from Warhammer that like all they do is go off and fight.
Berserkers.
Yeah, like
Troll Slayers and
oh god, okay.
What kills me is like your introduction to them is this Duncan guy comes and saves you like from some horrible thing. And then it's like, you're going to be a Grey Warden now. And it's like, here are my two other friends. They're also going to try and be Grey Wardens with you. And then, like, they're doing the ritual and one dies. And it's like, whoops, well, not everyone's cut out for this. And the other one's like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And the guy's like, whoops, that was the wrong thing to say. I'm going to kill you now. Hey, you should probably drink that and see if it kills you, or else I'm just going to kill you. I'm like, what sort of death cult have I joined? Like,
an awesome one?
Death cult have I been press ganged into?
An amazing one?
No! No, this is not good people. Like, what's his name is trying to put like a friendly face on it, but no. Alistair, yeah. He's trying to be there to put a friendly face on it, but he just totally watched Duncan kill this guy.
Also,
That guy had a
I'm not a
wife
fan
and
of him.
kids.
Duncan or Alistair?
Alistair.
I like Alistair because of the interactions that he has with other people, and especially when other characters shut him down.
I really like Alistair because it's really funny to watch other characters make fun of him. And also to make
Okay.
fun of him myself.
That's fair. That's about
Like-
as useful as I feel that he is.
I keep him around just because he's the best straight man for my one-liners ever.
Like, there is a companion in that game that I like.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm also curious.
It's Zevran.
Yeah, okay. I figured it was probably.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not a Zevran fan.
Zevran is legit hilarious, though. Like,
My personal favorite companion in that game is Shale, so...
I might not have...
Shale is in the expanded content.
Okay. I never
Shale-
bothered with that.
If you weren't... Shale was part of Project $10 when EA was still doing that.
Yeah.
So, came free with first-run copies and was later DLC.
But Shale is like really well integrated into the game for a DLC
It's true.
character. Like, especially during the Dwarven stuff later on.
Oh,
Shale is really well integrated. That's all I'm going to say. Like, you should totally take Shale if you're doing the Dwarven stuff in Dragon Age Origin.
It's really fun.
I did the Deep Roads. It was misery.
The Deep Roads are so awesome, though. Like, it's...
What?
Conceptually, I love the Deep
Who
Roads.
thinks this?
It's true, Al.
I love the Deep Roads. They're just so cool. Like,
Secretly a dwarf.
I am,
I don't
like...
think secretly.
It's not secretly. Like, there's a reason why I've played a lot of dwarves in game. I love underground lairs. I just think they're cool. Like, I would live underground if I could. Like, if you see one of my Minecraft bases, there is a shack above ground, and then there's this elaborate catacomb underneath.
An outhouse with a ladder.
Exactly. It's just a way to get down.
It's like
go down the chimney like Santa
Aperture
Claus.
Science.
Yeah, exactly like Aperture Science.
Yeah, I like the Inquisition as an organization more because the force that they use to keep you around at first is not lethal. It's political. And I just that's more compelling to me.
Well, and honestly, I had a moment with the Inquisition probably similar to your moment with the Institute, where I realized this is a structure that I get to choose. Like,
yeah,
I get to shape how it looks.
Yes, and that's why I feel like it's like they answer to me, and not like a little bit. I can shape how this organization interacts with the world, and it's not an insignificant organization, and that's really cool.
All I know is Vivienne, or however you want to say her name, does not like me and will probably never like me.
Yeah.
She disapproves all the time.
Vivian disapproved of a lot of things I did up until some key moments, and then it was like Vivian greatly approves, Vivian greatly approves, Vivian greatly approves. Vivian is surprised that she greatly approves.
All I gotta say is there's some people that don't like how I handled Cole. But anyway, so yeah, like I finally have traction in Dragon Age Inquisition. And it makes me happy. Like, I finally understand what people saw in this game.
That's awesome.
Okay, so another topic that is near and dear to my heart this week is the utter bullshit that chase item grinds are. Because I am willfully participating in this crap for the Valentine's Day event, and I don't even know why. The Big Love Rocket is quite literally the rarest mount in the game as far as drop chance.
And the level of bullshit is not just that it's a chase mount, it's that it is a limited time only chase mount.
Yeah. So you have 2 weeks to run as many level 100 characters as you can through this in the hopes that you will somehow beat the 0.003% drop rate chance, I believe.
Is this the Big Love Rocket?
Yes.
Yeah, while we were still playing, we went for it too. Never got it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you got it. I never got it.
And it's a horrible mount. Like
I would never use it. It's horrible. Like, its icon looks like a penis. I would never use it.
I pulled it up on Wowhead. It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, like, I would never use this mount, but just the simple fact that it exists and I don't already have one drives me to want to get it. And the same thing has always happened with the Headless Horseman mount, which I also don't have.
I never got that.
That one is less rare, at least, and also looks less stupid. Like, I actually
I would use it.
Characters.
Yeah, I would absolutely use that one. But, like, it's not just... There's a lot of games that do this, where they put something silly rare in it over a short period of time, and people grind themselves into the ground, and it's just not really fun. Like, it would be better, I guess, if there were some kind of thing that was a currency that was eventually going to get you the mount. But yeah, I think it's madness. And I wish I could make myself stop participating in said madness.
I feel like that's the extreme opposite of the whole like Warframe respecting your time thing.
Yeah.
It's totally like that sounds like it totally like the thing that frustrates you is totally just that it doesn't respect your time at all.
Well, the fact that like people have been chasing this for literal years and don't have one.
Well, and then you've got people like me who got one and are like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like total random fluke.
I'm pretty sure I have one, but I just don't care. I haven't even played WoW in years. But like, I can't ameliorate your pain in any way.
What? Yeah.
And I think the only thing to be said for it in favor is that at least what you have to do to get your daily opportunity for it is pretty minimal, especially if you can tank or heal. Like, it's maybe a 10-minute queue if you're a DPS, and if you're a tanker healer, it's almost instant. And you zone in, kill one guy, and zone out, and that's it. So it's quick. But
it would not be
still
bad
just-
if you were doing it on one character,
Exactly, yeah.
but I'm doing it every single day on 6 characters. And I don't know how many 100s you have, Grace.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, more than 10. But well, fortunately, I've been out of town and I've just totally written the whole thing off this year. And B, even when I was doing it for the first few days, I did it one day on everything, and then I was like, nope, screw this. Only on things that can tank or heal, because I'm not gonna sit in queue and wait. And it's still just bullshit. And the other thing is, there's a sort of consolation prize that, they drop a necklace that's, I don't know what the eye level is. It's like I have maybe 2 characters that just hit 100 that maybe it might be a minor upgrade for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they at least made the one piece of loot that it dropped be not completely useless, then that would also feel better.
Well, it was relevant when people were doing the first LFR, and actually, take that back. It's the same eye level as BlackRock Foundry normal, so 670. But still, at this point, people, especially like quote unquote casual non-raider people, probably have Tanan stuff, which maxes out at 695.
And it starts at 650.
Yeah.
Like, odds are you're probably gonna already have something better. I don't know. Like, there's another thing that bugs me about all of WoW's sort of seasonal bosses. They put them in, at whatever point in the expansion that season happens to be, and like that sets the eye level of the loot. And because WoW goes for more than a year between expansions, you end up coming back to these events way farther along in the scheme of progression, and the stuff that drops is like completely useless. I don't know. I don't feel like it would be I don't know, that much of a waste of their time to go through and just update the eye level of those things for the next year. It would, I don't know, be less soul crushing to run that stupid boss over and over again.
Yeah, because like honestly, whatever event happens immediately after the launch of an expansion, it's really cool because like those items are still valuable to your characters. But yeah, this far in, and this was like even a late event. So this is like the second year it's come around, and it came pretty late into the progression cycle anyway. I don't know. It's frustrating that there are 3 holiday events that have these chase mounts that I can think of: Brewfest, Halloween, and Valentine's Day.
But the drop percent, for whatever reason, is just way lower on the Valentine's Day one. And
Yeah.
I mean, I get, like, I'm okay with there being rare mounts and things in games, and, but, like, I've been chasing, some of the mounts out of the Firelands, or, like, Memoron's Head, which I would give pretty much anything to get hold of. But I can go and, choose that on my own time and schedule. I can run it as many times as, as characters that I have in a week. And I don't feel like, oh my god, I have to do it every day on every character because it's going to be gone in 5 days. I can take my time and take my chances over the course of however often I happen to be playing.
And honestly, like I've picked on WoW here, but there is a game that's worse, and that's Rift. Because instead of having limited time seasonal mount drops, they have limited time lockbox mount drops that you can only get for a period of time while they are selling that specific brand of lockbox.
Yeah, and I have to jump in, and as much as I love WildStar, I have to say that I hate the sort of new practice that they have since they put in their cash shop, which is that they have all these cool mounts and pets and things, which they put into the cash shop for a very, very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And there's just no, I mean, it's not even an in-game obtainable item. It's really cash shop item, which you can technically buy with in-game earned currency. But, it's just cash shop stuff. But I don't know, it feels bad. Like, even though I'm not spending money on these things and I'm not chasing them, it feels bad to see, like, items like that come up for a very, very limited time and then disappear again. Like, if you wanted to save up in-game currency to purchase something cool from the cash shop, there's just absolutely not even any sort of remote chance of being able to do that for most of these things. And it just, like, intrinsically feels bad as a player to see that stuff go by that way.
Well, Elder Scrolls Online even did this recently with a limited edition Black Bear mount that was up for, I think, less than a week. And then it's just gone. Like, it probably won't be back, but I don't know. And I guess that's the won't be back aspect of it is what's the worst. I don't like disposable content like that, where it just goes away.
I don't mind if content goes away, but I want there to be a story if it does. I want the game world to be enriched as a result, as opposed to, well, you just can't get this anymore. Because I think that you can do... I've talked about games with a history, and like I think that can be cool. Where this was a quest that you could do, and you could get the story, but then like the game world moves on. Like some of the stuff that Guild Wars 2 does, for example, I think can be really cool. Where they move the world forward, and like, sure, if you miss an event, you don't get to find out what happened, but people still talk about it. And so like the game has this history, but for limited time drops, like they don't make the game world richer. They don't make what I'm doing right now more meaningful for having happened.
No, and I even think that even for things that are intrinsically tied to the story and go away, I still like for there to be some rare chance or very long grindy way for me to get a hold of them if I really put my mind to it, or even in a cash shop or something.
Yeah.
But like, there's, some of the tier pieces in WoW that don't exist in the game anymore, except that you can get them off of the black market auction house, or, things like that. Like, this mount used to be a guaranteed drop off of a boss, but now that that's not current content anymore, it's just a really, 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 really rare chance. And, you can still take your chances. I'm not a fan of content being completely removed from a game.
Well, and honestly, like I have complained about their monetization a lot in Star Wars The Old Republic, but I have to give them credit in the way that they've done their lockboxes, where if you get anything from a cartel box, it's sellable on the auction house, like, forever, indefinitely. So even though... Well, yeah, after 4 days, it becomes sellable on the auction house. But even if something goes away, there's still a chance that it's out in the open market. Like, someone still has it somewhere.
And Warframe is the same way. Like, they do sometimes get rid of frames, like prime frames you can't get anymore, but somebody's got them in their back pocket, and you can sometimes see them sold.
Yeah, so there's always the chance that it pops up. And if you have the money at the right period of time, you can maybe negotiate a deal to go get the thing that you were wanting that no longer exists.
And also with Warframe, there is the, not for Prime stuff, but for, like, mods, there is totally the guy who comes around for the once in an event thing and sells those, which is sweet. Because I wasn't around for most of the early events. And I would be truly upset if I had come into this game after this last event where I got a Volcar Wraith and could never get this Volcar Wraith. Because this Volcar Wraith gun is awesome. I really like this gun.
Well, and another prime example of the chase mount thing right now is the Moose. And I am lucky as hell of having people that were willing to carry my ass through heroic Hellfire Citadel, and I have a Moose, but it is absolutely going to go away at some point in the near future, and no one will have any more moose, meese, whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I think, did they say or did they show that they're going to have other, like, the same model of mount available afterwards, or
So
no?
yes, but I think the other available moose mounts are ground only.
Ah,
You will not
well,
have a magical flying moose
right.
that makes me feel like Santa Claus.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really care about the moose mound, and I mean, I would like to have one, but whatever. But I don't understand. It still bothers me that they sort of had this previous method of doing things where, like with Memoron's head, it was a guaranteed drop for doing something ridiculously difficult when it was current, and when it wasn't current anymore, it became a very, very, very rare drop. And like why they can't, keep doing that going forward, I don't know, because it creates this content out of these old raids and things that people wouldn't do. Why are people going to want to go into the crappy raids of Draenor if there isn't something fluffy in there for them to chase?
I don't know.
I don't necessarily think WoW is an MMO whose strategy is designed around reusing content.
Oh, it's absolutely.
No,
I agree.
it's not, but they at least made a nod to it, and I mean they have, these
Introduction
little
of pets was a large nod to it
Yeah.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
because all of these old raids have pets that you can go get.
Oh, absolutely.
I
mean,
do believe that was intentional. Because they stuck pets in all these raids people weren't doing anymore.
and gave a meta achievement for getting all of them and getting another
Okay.
pet. So yeah, I mean, at some point, obviously, they thought, hey, we can, they're not updating the content, but they're at least recognizing that people still go in there for stuff and will chase, fluffy, fun, cosmetic things in there.
I
They
think the
also
difference.
tweaked a bit of them to make them soloable in cases that they weren't.
Right.
Yeah. I think the difference is, WoW will nod to that kind of thing, but it's not a core part of the game's design. Like evergreen content is not a design goal of WoW. It is sort of
No,
an
not
incidental.
really.
Whereas it definitely evergreen content is definitely like a goal in other games.
Yeah,
Like
It's
Final Fantasy 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
or ESO, or what's frustrating about this whole situation is if any game needs players to have reasons to go do stuff that is off the path, it's WoW. WoW is horrible at releasing content. Like, really, really bad at releasing content. And then, on the other hand, they do things that actively negate players from going and doing older content to kill time. And it's just frustrating. Like, it's that they don't understand that they're bad at releasing content. I mean, because if I were working on WoW, I would be looking at putting in any systems that encourage people to alt, encourage people to do older content, encourage people to do basically anything to bide time until we can release a damn expansion.
At this point, the technical debt in the WoW codebase has to be just unfathomable.
Well, we know it's horrible. Like, we can't change the original backpack. It is still stuck at the original 16 slots. There's pieces of code that people just don't have any clue how it works anymore.
Well, and it's games, right? They aren't retaining the talent.
Yeah. But anyway, I feel like that was probably a lengthy rant about nothing. But by God, it's relevant to me now. And I would imagine it's probably relevant to Grace again, because even though she says she's given up, she's probably going to be running her hundreds now that she's back.
I may have done a couple.
Yep. Anyway, I guess technically it's 4 holidays now since they added the Grinch in as a mount. But anyway, Tam, Sleeping Dogs.
Oh man. So
Speaking of non sequiturs,
yeah. Sleeping Dogs. So Sleeping Dogs is not a new game. It is a game that I picked up when my computer wasn't quite as good, and I loved it even though I couldn't really play it. And I realized recently as I was flipping through my Steam library, because I did the post a little while back about my Steam backlog and what I'm currently playing, and I realized that I'd forgotten about Sleeping Dogs. And my computer's a lot better than it was before. So I booted it up, and man, I love that game. It's, if you like Hong Kong action movies or kung fu flicks, it is that in game form, and it's expertly done. It hits every note exactly the way you feel like it should, and I really appreciate that in games. It's like an open world, I hesitate to say GTA style game because it's not really. It's more like, I don't know. It's a little bit more detailed. It's a little bit more serious. It's a little bit less like over the top. It's really down to earth, but it's got all of those like kung fu movie tropes in the game. And so it sort of takes this slight nod from like the Assassin's Creed combat system, like the more advanced ones, where when you're fighting dudes, it'll be like you and 3 dudes, and they'll attack you, and you can have these like cool, elegant looking kung fu combos, and you can block them and counter them, and it's like cinematic and feels really, really good. But you can also do this neat thing where, like, for example, I got into a fight in a market. Like, a bunch of market stalls around, bunch of dudes jump me, and, like, some random guy is, like, carrying his groceries home, and when he sees a fight is breaking out, he drops his groceries and runs. Because he doesn't want to get into a fight. And so, like, I pick up his grocery bag and start beating some other guy with it. And then, like, once I've done that, I throw the grocery bag at one of the other guys that jumped me, while I grab the third one and, like, throw him through a fish stall. And it's exactly what I expect to be able to do in a movie. Like, I expect to see it like a Bruce Lee movie or a Jackie Chan movie.
Gonna say beating up a grocery sounds more like Jackie Chan to me.
Yeah, it's a little bit more Jackie Chan than Bruce Lee, but it's got a little bit of both, and it knows exactly what it's trying to do, and it executes just brilliantly. Everything from the dialogue flipping in and out of Cantonese with subtitles to let you know what they're actually saying, to like the undercover investigator in the Triads plot. All of the pieces like feel really, really good and work together. And it's super neat to... I don't normally get into like gang warfare themed games. Like, it's not really a theme that does it for me. But like Triad, like Chinese Triads, is sort of... It feels different enough that I'm interested in it. And I'm not like running drugs for these, I don't know, generic American gang thugs. I'm like an awesome martial artist. I very rarely get to see a game that's so focused on like the exact experience that it wants to achieve and manages to deliver on it. And it's just really, really fun to see. It's a really, really fun game to play if you're into that sort of thing. Because you have these moments that almost constantly that are like, oh man, that's just like the movies. That's awesome. It is probably the best open world game I've played.
It's saying quite a bit.
Than like Assassin's Creed.
I think that it is smoother than most of the Assassin's Creed games because it's more refined. It's trying to do fewer things, and so does all of them better. I really love Assassin's Creed, but Sleeping Dogs is more, for me, it's more focused. I like it better than GTA. I think Saints Row is funnier, but I don't like it as much as Sleeping Dogs. I don't ever feel like I'm wasting time in it, which is something that I always run into in Assassin's Creed. I feel like I'm just spending forever running from place to place. And like maybe if when the game opens up more, I'll feel that way about Sleeping Dogs too, so we'll see. But thus far, I feel like it doesn't fall into the open world game pitfall of, oh god, now I have to figure out where to go next, and it's going to take me forever to get there. And like doing sweet parkour all over the city is only fun when I don't have is only fun when I'm like escaping people or chasing somebody down or something, not when I'm actually trying to get something done. It's fun. It fires on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's on my backlog of things I want to actually play more, because the one time I attempted to play it, I was playing it with the mouse and keyboard, and combat was a little hard with mouse and keyboard. And I should have just hooked up an Xbox controller, but instead I moved on to something else. But
one of the things I'm thinking of doing is either buying the like Game of the Year expanded all of the DLC edition or something on a console and playing it on a console, because I think that it would feel better with a controller.
I thought we got it at some point as part of the PlayStation Plus.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know how to check.
But it's available now on PS4, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I may end up picking it up on PS4 just to play or something to play it there. Because I think it'd be fun to just load it up with all the DLC and all of the expansion stuff and play it with a controller on my couch. Because it feels
I can see that.
It feels like the kind of game that wants to be played like with popcorn on the couch more than
a very cinematic game.
Yeah, it's super cinematic. I don't even like I said, I don't even really like gang stories, but like it's already introduced me to characters in like the first couple of hours that are like, I don't necessarily like all of these guys, but I kind of want to see where it's going. Like I'm interested to see who these characters are just from the little bit that I've seen. It's not going to be, there's going to be bad stuff that goes down, but like I want to find out. I want to see the bad stuff go down.
The other series like that I really want to sit down and play through is Uncharted.
Uncharted is a fantastic series. It's amazing. It's really, really, really good for very similar reasons.
The last time I tried to play through it, it was back when I did not have quite the tolerance for games showing me stuff. Like I went through this whole phase. And we've talked about this in the past where, like, I was just sitting there mashing the button. Come on, start the game, start the game, start the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more forgiving now of long narrative intros.
Yeah.
But
Uncharted definitely has a lot of, like, cutscenes.
Yes.
In the same way that Sleeping Dogs is a Hong Kong action movie rendered brilliantly as a video game, Uncharted is Indiana Jones.
And I think I'm ready to play Uncharted because I absolutely loved Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider.
Oh, that's another amazing game.
Like I haven't played the new Tomb Raider, but I'm talking like the one from a couple years ago.
Uncharted 2 was far and away the best game I played that year. The year I played it, it blew me away.
Well, folks, do we have anything else we want to talk about before we wrap things up?
I think we're good.
Okay.
We're all done.
As always, since we stopped doing the individual where folks can find us bit, all of us repost to AggroChat.com. And there you can get all of our social media links and all of the other stuff that you might be interested in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and it was awesome to have Grace back.
Yeah.
And I am really happy that Tam also made it tonight, because we thought maybe not.
I was rushing to get back.
Yeah.
Way on the other side of the city.
Anyway, hopefully you had a good night and enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Later.
Night.
Later.
Night.
Later.
Night.
Later.
Night.
Later.
Night.
Later.
Night.
Later.